everybody, this is also Hub. Today I'm covering Nvidia. So before we get into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment which stocks you want me to cover next. As you asked, I'm covering one of the stocks that you asked me. So today we have Nvidia, ticker NVDA. And by the way, before we get into it, I want to let you know that I will put in the description the links of the databases that I use to make this analysis. So make sure to check them out in case you're looking for something like that. So let's get into it. So first of all, we can see the current situation for Nvidia and how it has been trading in the last few years. And this is a longer term chart. So here we have some basic data: market cap above $320 billion, sales around $30 billion, and so on. It has dividend yield, pays a low dividend yield, but in the technology sector, it's not that common to see tech stocks that are strongly developing right now paying out dividends, so that's a good thing. Price earning ratio is a pretty high one given the current situation. So Nvidia is known for having a very high price earning ratio even compared to other companies operating in the same sector, and we'll see whether that is justified or not. Forward PE, given the current expectations, is 27 and so on. So here we can see that the recommendations from Wall Street analysts have changed in the recent weeks and months, and across the board they have reviewed their expectations. Nvidia, of course, suffers the current geopolitical turmoil. Nvidia will be touched directly by the policies made by the US government to make it harder for adversary countries to access the technology that Nvidia and some of its competitors produce. So more in specific, in the last few days, every news media in the business sector, from Bloomberg to Wall Street Journal to Barron's and so on, have reported that it looks like the White House is going to set a ban on exports of certain semiconductors to China because they want to make sure that the Chinese military doesn't get access to this sort of technology. So we're waiting for the news to come out, but it looks like there will be a further ban on Chinese exports from the United States, and we'll see how Nvidia is affected by that, and we'll see how China accounts to the overall business results that Nvidia has had in the last few years. So this spreadsheet over here is a blueprint of how Nvidia has done in the last 10 years. We can see that the revenue has multiplied many times over and over again. Same for the EBITDA and the debt as well, but the debt is not always bad because a lot of times it's cheaper to finance yourself, your company, through that because you are going to end up paying less in interest rather than in dividends. So a lot of times it's cheaper to finance yourself with debt. So as long as it doesn't get out of control, debt is not such a bad thing. So market cap, it has gone up a lot. We can see that. Enterprise value as well. And here we can see that we can also see the the ratio between enterprise value and EBITDA that has gone up quite significantly in the last few years, and this year has gone down given the current fears in the market and the hard to predict expectations for Nvidia going forward in a more fragmented world where different blocks trade less and less with each other. So we can see the debt to EBITDA ratio, and next we can see the shares. We can see that Nvidia in the last 10 years has slightly diluted its equity base, but it hasn't affected that much because it has delivered terrific results. So it was really worth it for the investors. We can also see that the earnings per share have gone up. But the point is, we're not, the discussion here with Nvidia is not about their ability to develop new technologies, to innovate, and so on. But the discussion is whether the current ratios that it has that are very high are justified, and they could have been justified in the last few years, given the fact that we didn't see something like the Russia-Ukraine issue this year, and so in a more globalized world, there was uh, um, in a more globalized world, it was easier for Nvidia to expand to new markets, and we can see that China was the fastest growing market for Nvidia, so it will certainly take a toll in case the bans that the US government puts on China exports get tougher and tougher. But we can also see that um, Nvidia has increased its dividend payout, so that's a very interesting thing to see. It's paying more and more in dividends, and that is not that common for tech stocks that are developing so fast to pay out dividends as well. So that's a good thing for investors. So in order to get a better perspective on what is going on in the markets, I use this tool that is called AnaChart that tracks the recommendations and the performance of the Wall Street analysts. So here we can see the best performing analysts, so the ones that have given the best recommendations and who have performed better than others given their recommendations, and we can see their price targets. And so let's see, so the last price target that was given out on Nvidia was from Bank of Montreal, and they have reviewed their price target from 230 a stock to 210, and we can see that all across the board that they have at least reviewed their price target going downwards given the current situation, and some of them are changing their recommendation from buy to hold, so that's not a great sign for Nvidia. So we can see the trend for the price targets that have changed dramatically in the last year. So here we can see, let's see who performed best on Nvidia calls. So we can see from Craig Hallam, let's see what they're doing right now. Let's select only this one. So we can see that by the end of the year 2021, they had a buy recommendation with a price target of 230. Next, there was a very optimistic buy at 350, and then they have reviewed their price targets, and they have also changed the recommendation from buy to hold. So that's not great. Let's see from Wedbush. Let's take a look. Here it is. We can see that the pattern is a bit different, but we can see the similarities. So they have reviewed completely their outlook for Nvidia. It looks like Wall Street is starting to realize that it will be harder for Nvidia to justify such high ratios, because in a more fragmented world it will be harder to maintain the same growth path that Nvidia had in the last few years. So let's see also Wells Fargo. Let me see. All right. They haven't given out price targets in the last few months, but we can see that the trend is more or less similar. Also here we can see the average time for the price target to be met. So these are pretty these are recommendations worth taking note. So this is the outlook that I wanted to give you on Nvidia, given the current situation. I'll cover other stocks in the same sector where Nvidia operates to give you an idea. I think I'll cover AMD and other semiconductor producers. So make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, make sure which stocks you want me to analyze next, and if you want to use the same databases that I use, make sure to check them out in the description. See you next time. This is Hustle Hub.